Hi, it's Lindsay with SIMPLI-FI Life, and I am back with a new format, hopefully that you enjoy, called Project Files. It's a behind-the-scenes look at what goes into picking organizing product for an organizational project. I wanted to just give you a little glimpse behind the scenes of some of the things that I think about and questions I ask myself as I'm choosing product for an organizing project, and maybe this will help you on yours. So this client is an interior designer, which is so fun, and I am organizing her office, her workspace. So what that means is we have a ton of samples that we have to make easily accessible for her as she gets her own client projects. She needs to be able to see what she has so that she can make mood boards, do client presentations. And so we've got to make space for things like tile, grout, Schluter, fabric, flooring, hardware, furniture samples, wallpaper, paint. They actually just did some renovations in their home. So she's got these lovely built-in cabinet space, and the right side of this cabinet is dedicated to her interior design business. With every project, I start with measurements of the client's space, and then I bring those measurements home, and this is where I start doing more space planning. So once I get home, the first thing that I do is a rough space plan to start getting a rough feel of what the space could look like. I use little tape. These can be pulled off and moved around. This is always subject to change, but this gives me a goal to walk towards. We almost always run into some type of issue. Something doesn't fit like we thought. They have more inventory than we thought. We will get into the project and figure those things out as we go. It's the fun part of problem solving. The client did request acrylic, so you're going to see a lot of clear acrylic, but this also enables them to just see what they've got. So let's start with tile, because that is one of the biggest sections that we are going to be working with. And one of the first things that I ordered that I looked for was a divider that has natural dividers within it. We could go really big open bin. My concern was that tiles would, if she took 2 or 3 out, that they would fall through. So I was looking for an option where if she removes a tile or 2, it's not going to fall over. Now, this is a new project for me. I don't have go-to items because I've never done a sample library before. So some of this will be testing, getting feedback from the client, making sure it works okay. And so I want to encourage you, when you're going to organize a space in your home, it's okay if you don't know what the exact perfect fit is for your home. Almost always, unless it's a unique project like this, I almost always suggest that clients use organizing product that they already have in their home if they have extra, or if you don't have extra, go to the dollar store and buy the least expensive version of what you think you need, and then use that for a couple weeks or a couple months. And when you confirm that the system works for you, then you can invest in a nicer quality product, because the dollar store is great for testing out product, but a lot of times it does not hold up. And so it is worth eventually upgrading to nicer materials down the road after you've determined that the system actually works for your needs. So I'm hoping this will hold the 2x6 subway tiles. Oh, and here's another thing to think through. This is on Amazon considered a makeup organizer. If you search tile organizing, this doesn't come up. But what you can do sometimes is just think outside of the box and think of other spaces, and sometimes repurpose something that wasn't necessarily intended to use for it and use it for the needs that you have. So that was one. And I know that not all of her tiles are the 2x6. So I found a similar style divider, and my hope is that this will accommodate longer format tiles. So I'm hoping that these hold kind of those long, narrow, kind of subway looking tiles. And another thing I thought that this, either that specifically the open one, would be helpful for is holding and sorting her countertop and tile slab samples. They're pretty thick and tend to be a little bit longer. So I think this will hold one a piece. So we'll try it out and see what works. Another option that I picked up was this. Now these are nice because I can actually remove dividers if needed, but the intent with the dividers is to keep the tiles from sliding. So we can maybe put, I don't know, 5 to 8, depending on how thick they are in here probably. And then she can remove 1 or 2 at a time, and hopefully they won't all slide. So got 2 different options. And honestly, this product is great for filling the depth of the drawer, but I can also do 2 of these in a row and we can just tack them down into the drawer. The last thing to note, one of the big considerations when figuring out how to store her tile samples specifically and her countertop slab samples, marble, Carrara, stuff like that, is the weight of it. Is it going to lean on the divider and bend and give? So this will be something that we'll have to play around with in person. She had some acrylic bends with drawer pull out. The tiles fit, but because of the weight, it created some friction pulling the tile in and out of the drawer frame, so to speak. I came to the conclusion that wasn't going to be the best option, but we gave it a try. And that's some of the beauty and fun of organizing, is you get to experiment with what works. Okay, next section, she has a product called Schluter, and it's like a metal capping for different spaces when you're tiling a space. And so I picked up one of these and I'm curious if it's going to function for her. Currently, she has all of her Schluter on one of the twist rings, and so she has to twist it, take off the one she wants, put it on the mood board, and then when she's done with the project or the client presentation, she puts it back on and twist it back up, which is a lot of steps. They're a couple inches long, and I'm thinking we can just do one in each slot. And so that way, as she opens up the drawer, she can see all of her options, pick the one that she wants, and then sets it on the mood board. And then when she goes to rehome the item, it's really easy to drop it back in here. Also wonder if it will work for her grout. Now, the grout was in a bit easier of a system. It's in a case, and we may want to keep the grout in its sample case just because it's already all labeled, so it's really easy for her to see where it goes back. Okay, so the next category is hardware. Currently, she has these clear zipper pouches, which are working for her. She can group the matte black together, the polished nickel, the chrome, all her different metal finishes, and group them all together. And she said that's working pretty well. But again, we're wanting to simplify her process so that she doesn't have to do as many steps. So we may choose to keep what she has, but I picked up these acrylic bends. You can see they're stackable, and my thought is that she can have it in the drawer, slides out, and she can see all of her matte black finishes or her most frequent ones up top, and then underneath we would do less frequently used and group by metal finish. And my thought is that we can do potentially 2 handles in each little bin depending on how much she has. Now, if she has really wide ones, a potential problem may be if she has a really wide handle, thick, maybe thick's a better word, because the width should be fine, but the thickness might mean that maybe it can't be stacked. So we might have to limit what we put in the bottom ones, but I was looking for a way where she could maybe access her most frequently used just by pulling out the cabinet drawer she can see and grab, and then stuff that is not as frequently used. Her friction barrier is pretty low because all she has to do is remove this one tray and she can pick out from there. So I loved also being able to take advantage of the vertical space within the drawer by stacking these on top of each other. And that's another thing you want to think through, is trying to use all dimensions of the space, not just the length and the width, but also the height. So speaking of drawer space, I picked up a ton of bamboo drawer dividers. Now these are a little bit narrower, and so if you haven't worked with a drawer divider before, they just pop in and out and can collapse down to a pretty small size, and then if you have a deeper drawer, it fills that deeper. Now this is a new product for me. I hadn't tried it yet, but what I was interested in is that it actually had 2 different spaces of markings. And this particular product comes with a small divider and a large divider, or medium divider. And what you do is you're going to put these into the drawer and then side by side, and then you put the little dividers into the notches, or they can go down like this into the bottom notches, and that creates little zones, little compartments, so that you can assign every item a home. Now, I specifically picked these up for the top drawers because she's got some office supplies that I think are going to need stored because her new desk doesn't have any drawers. That was something we were thinking through. So in addition to the narrow bamboo dividers that I got for her 2 top drawers are more narrow, I also picked up some 6-inch wide. I did get some bamboo ones also, but she had asked for acrylic, so I purchased some acrylic options too if she preferred that look. That's really just an aesthetic choice at the end of the day. So, okay, I guess we're not done with tiles. tile. We're going back to it. So we talked through a lot of the tile options, but one of the things I'm trying to account for are her like 12 by 12 mosaic sheets. Now, my thought is to put this flat inside the drawer and have so where she can lay the sheets inside. The concern I have is that the depth of this product, of this tray, is not quite as deep as the width. And so there's a chance there's going to be some overhang. Now, this might play into an advantage because there may be just a little bit of overhang where she can see the different samples and pull out what's needed, but it may be too much of an overhang that it makes it difficult to pull in and pull out. So this could also be stored vertically as well if we wanted to put it in maybe the upper cabinets. Okay, this is a classic paper tray. These are 4 individuals stacked. She definitely needs a place for printer paper. So we have this, and she may have other notebooks, paper pads for note-taking with client sessions. I also got a different one that doesn't stack each tray on top of each other, but it actually stacks. There's poles, so there's a bigger gap. The next category that she needs to store is wallpaper samples. And currently she has a big accordion portfolio, and that seems to be working well. The things I was thinking through with her current setup is she does currently have to undo a little latch and then lift the lid and then thumb through and look. But she had explicitly said she was interested in getting acrylic so she could see her product. So I am bringing an alternative solution in case she wants to consider trying something different. So I got 2 vertical file folders. The reason I got this option is it's an open option. And so if her sample happens to be wider than the size of the organizing product, she doesn't have to bend it. And then I picked up these are dividers for magazines, but my thought is she can be able to, they can divide her samples by vendor and she can see. There's obviously no product in here, so that's flopping around. But once we get product in here, these should be able to stay and she can read and see what she's got. I could go this way and have it on the shelf and label the vendors on the outside here, and she can pull it down. And speaking of pulling down, my second option actually has a little handle for pulling down, which makes it a little easy. It's not too much different than grabbing the top, but it's an aesthetic preference. Do you like the hole or not? This one is fully enclosed, and so if her stuff is any wider than this, she would have to bend it. And so I'll let her decide which option seems best, or she may want to stick with the current one that she already has and keep the accordion. The thought on it was that it would be pretty easy for her to just take this off the shelf, thumb through to she can see it a little bit better. I think in the accordion folder, it's a little harder to see the samples, in my opinion. This is the beauty of organizing, is what works for one person doesn't necessarily mean it will work for another. And so you just get to do what works for you. So another big section that she's got is fabric samples, and fabric might go a couple different ways. So this was one option. This has a little magnetic door, so it's enclosed, but this could sit on her cabinet. And I have these, let's see, and I have these little alligator clips that we can just fold her samples, have it clipped, and then they can sit on the shelf. We also could turn it this way too, if they're taller samples, and then they can sit and she can pull it out this way and then just close it up. I also had thought that depending on the size of her fabric samples, we could fold and clip them into here and they could be file folded so she can just look at all of her samples here. That's another option. My last product is a little bit of a gamble, but I'm kind of hopeful that it will work. So it's actually like a jewelry display, and what I love about it is it rotates, and so she can have it at the cabinet front and just rotate through her product. And I purchased these little fabric clips so she can just clip the fabric and then it just hangs here. Now, there's a chance that this might not be the best option. There are some sample hangers that I came across. They just weren't going to be delivered in time. So I'm going to review that with her. I think that might be a better option, but I wanted to come with something when we did install. One of the reasons I liked this option was because this one actually has a little door, so I thought she could store her little alligator clips, or if she goes with these little hooks, can just store them in here, and she's utilizing this space. But I am a little bit concerned that the fabric weight might be too much for this door. But If she likes this concept, there is a product that does not have a door, and based on how this feels being built, I think it will hold the product fine. But that will be one of those things that we'll just have to try it out and see when we get there. We've got options. But okay, last section that we're walking through today, we've got some carpet samples as well as fluted wall treatments, reeded wall treatments. But I am excited, and I do think that this beautiful option might work amazingly. Again, we are trying to keep things separated so she can keep her carpet samples here. I think she could maybe do 2 on each if she has a lot, or if she wanted to do the wood treatments here too. It also could probably work for really large format floor tiles or wall tiles samples also. And so this might be multifunctional. It might just hold all of her large format stuff. But the nice thing about this is it's a kitchen cookie sheet divider, but it can sit horizontally like this, or if we need it to take up less space. I actually don't have it screwed together because I just wanted to present the idea to her. So it's a little wobbly right now, but we could also do it vertically as well. And I think vertically might be easier to slide in and out. So this is how I have it space planned on my little space plan graph. So if she likes it and if it works for her product, then I will screw it in and it'll be sturdy as ever. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. I hope these project files was insightful as you kind of see how I think through and work through a space before I actually get there. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. Until the next one, I'll see you later. Bye.